Welcome to Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe. Our topic today is the problems with inventive societies. And I begin this conversation by showing you the map of the two dominant economies in the world over the last roughly 2,000 years. If you go back beyond 500 years ago today, you can see that the gross world product was flat. In other words, if you combine the GDPs of nations, you agree with me that the world was not making significant change. Of course, there were empires and kingdoms, but man was poor. The GDPs did not grow. The GDP of United States of America, the GDP of China, the two most dominant economies today, used as illustration, they did not have any change. And because these GDPs were not growing, essentially implies that the people that lived therein, generations of people that lived apart, did not experience any major change in their living standards. But something started changing as you move up around this phase. Man was moving from an inventive society into an innovation society. Man was moving from a poor world to a rich world. Man was living at a time when even making it up to 35, 45 years was considered a very great breakthrough on average. But now man was moving into a moment where 70, 80 years lifespan is expected. So, but what happened right here is not just that man became smarter around this point compared to here. Of course, people that lived here were actually very, very bright. Some of the most fundamental constructs in physics and chemistry were actually built around by people that lived here. They were intelligent scientists, they were very brilliant people, but unfortunately, most of them died very poor. The world had ideas, but the world was inventive. The society of nations across the different parts of the world was full of inventions, was full of inventive people. What was lacking that most of those people were not innovative. They were coming up with ideas in laboratories. They were stocking them in shelves in some universities. But those products and services were not getting to the market. But in our time and in this moment, most of those products and services, most of those ideas found themselves into the marketplace. Redesign, transition from an inventive world into an innovative world. Brilliant, poor people moving into an age of rich barons. It's a poor world, then a rich world. Something was happening. That was innovation, which is invention plus commercialization. I believe in this school of thought that if you have not commercialized it, it's just inventive, it's not innovative. It is only when the market has accepted it, that market has bought it at scale, that is the time you can use the word innovative. For me, it has not been sold, it has not made financial, commercial sources. You cannot say that that product is innovative. Because it's very important to distinguish this. Across most parts of Africa today, there are a lot of inventions. People have demonstrated ideas to provide electricity at scale. People have demonstrated ideas to solve different problems, energy, transportation, food. But unfortunately, when you need those products and services, you can't find them to buy. Most of them end at the ideas phase, at the invention phase. They don't make it into the innovation phase. My beautiful country, Nigeria, we need electricity to provide opportunity for entrepreneurs, for business people, to build ecosystems and virtuous system of innovation. Fortunately, we don't find them. But if you move around Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and all the big cities, people tell you, I have an idea how we can provide gigawatts of electricity. When you ask them, where can I buy these ideas? Where can I buy solutions and services out of these ideas? You don't. It is an inventive society still operating at this level, at this time and at this phase. Most developed nations have moved from being inventive societies to innovation societies. That's the reason why you find products and services you buy. But most parts of Africa, we are still stuck here. And that is the reason why we have challenges. There are problems of being inventive societies. It makes it impossible for people to have solutions. So we have to redesign the continent to move from a continent of inventions to become a continent of innovations. How do you do that? As I have explained in most of my works, that one of the most critical things that happened here was the world strengthened its intellectual property rights, the world strengthened its legal system, the world strengthened the ownership of properties and ownership of rights to ideas, so that when you strengthen that we started around 1700, to the time Hopkins was awarded the first patent in the United States of America late in the 18th century. Good things happen. Capital will be released when people can see out of that pure greed of capitalism that if they bring money to take that invention into commercialization, there will be a moment of exclusivity that will be awarded to them to recoup their capital and make money out of that risk. And if you do not have that apparatus, if you do not have that framework that will enable people to turn those inventions into something for innovation, most people will stay put. Why will I risk my money to commercialize a miracle drug, spending billions of dollars in research and development, when I cannot have some exclusivity to monetize over a period of time that idea so that I can recoup the investment I have put in developing it? Makes common sense. But also, why will I invest my hard-earned capital when I'm not sure that the rights to the property, the rights to the resource, it can be protected? So intellectual property rights, ownership of rights, ownership of properties, ability to own things and have a right to them is one of the most catalytic and important elements of modern commerce. If you do not have that, it makes it very difficult for people to actually release capital in order to grow economies, in order to bring ideas into products and services. The young man has figured out how to provide electricity in his village. The next morning, his friends copies the same process. Why will he have to spend time taking the next big deal or the next big thing, when all he needs to wait is for somebody to do it and he can copy that person without consequence? If a world runs that way, no one will take the first risk. Because that is what is typical in inventive societies. There is no rule of law. There is no respect of intellectual property. There is no ability for people to protect the rights of ideas. And what happens? Very few people take actions to create those ideas. It doesn't mean that we have to protect all ideas. It doesn't mean that we do not have to have that fairness by actually maybe licensing some of these drugs, making them available at scale, by removing some of the patent issues associated with them. But the point is this: absence of them in totality is actually a recipe that no one takes any action. So these are some of the challenges of inventive societies. Great nations becoming continents of inventions, continents of innovation. And I do believe that Africa wants to be a continent of innovation. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe. You are listening to Tekedia. Thank you very much.